Hi, I'm Chad, and you're watching Squarebody Stuff. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be working on our 454 again. Going to be degreeing the cam in. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell. That way you get notifications whenever I put new videos out. Go check out my merchandise shop, squarebodystuff.shop, and pick out some hats. We got t-shirts, stickers, lots of stickers. So don't forget, we've also got the tailgate throwdown coming up in March. It's closing in fast. It'll be March 28th, 29th, I believe, in Newport, Arkansas. Same venue we had for the tailgate throwdown last year. We're hoping to maybe have two of them, a spring one and maybe a fall one. But don't forget about that. Go check us out on Facebook, the Tailgate Throwdown public page, group page, whatever you want to call it. Go check us out there. You can find all the rules. We've got enough rules, enough classes to fit anybody. Whatever you have, whether it's an all-wheel drive or just a bone stock truck, to whatever you have. If you got a 5,000 horsepower pro mod, whatever, you can come out and find a spot to race in. All right, let's get into degreeing this cam in. Not a whole lot to it. Basically just double checking, making sure that it was machined correctly, or if you want to change the timing of it, this is where you can figure out where you're at, where you want to go, and make your adjustments now. All right, the cam we have is a Lunati VB or VDBC 268. Let's see, where's the specs at. We've got a 542 lift and 555 lift, intake, exhaust respectively. I've got some different numbers on here because I've actually already went over this and degreed it in and checked everything out, but my duration was coming up just a little bit different than what they've got on the card. Not a whole lot off, you know, it may be the difference in my degree wheel or whatever, I'm not real sure, but it's a advertised 227, 233 at 50 thousandths lift at the tappet. It's a nice little cam for street driving. It's going to have plenty of low, mid-range, and higher RPM. I can't remember what the RPM range of this is. I'm thinking around 2,000 to 6,000, somewhere in there. It's not a race cam, but it's going to work really good with the heads we've got. Of course, I've been working on the heads too on the side, just kind of getting an idea what I need to do with that. But we won't get into that. We're doing some cam stuff right now. All right, our intake center line is at 106. I came in at a 107, you know, 1 degree off, not that big of a deal. And it says it's 4 degrees advanced already because most cam companies for off-the-shelf cams, they're usually typically already got a 4 degrees advanced ground into the cam. And I'll try to explain that a little bit better once we get looking at that degree wheel. So if you was just to slap this together with the dots lined up, it is not straight up. It is actually 4 degrees advanced. When you hear people say, "I'll just run it dot to dot straight up," that's not true straight up. That's straight up to how the cam is ground. But you can adjust that. You can adjust it by going back, retarding it back to 0, or advancing it, whatever your application is. I'm not going to go deep into that because there's a lot to that. But I'm just going to show you how to set up your degree wheel and how to check all these numbers, just to make sure you're good to go. All right, first thing we need to do is get your degree wheel fastened on there. Now, it depends on what kind of degree wheel you have. There's some that's fancy that has kind of a locking nut on there where you can, you know, get the hub on there and lock and unlock your degree wheel. I don't have that. I've just got a bushing that I've machined that fits the degree wheel on there good, and then just use the harmonic balancer bolt. And I just try to get it close, have the piston close to top dead center, get my degree wheel close to 0 where I want it, and then we can find out where true 0 is on with your piston, and then set your pointer to 0 on your degree wheel. And I'll show you how I do that. Now there's a couple different ways you can find true top dead center. Just bringing it up to where it comes up and stops, that could be a degree or 2 off, because when that piston comes up and stops, the crankshaft is still turning to break over that spot where the rod is starting to bring the piston back down. So you need to have a way to find the 0 from each side of the stroke And this is the way I like to do it. I like to use a dial indicator. And let's see, let me show you exactly how I got it set up. I've got it pretty much right in the center of the piston. That way there's the rock doesn't affect it any. If you have a piston stop, which this would be easy to do with just a flat plate, but I didn't want to worry about that. I like to use the things that spin around. First you have to zero it out. Now at this point, you are really just wanting to bring that piston up until your dial stops and starts going back the other way. Right in there. And it's a little off. Zero it out. Double check it. And once you get this zeroed out, then I'll rotate it counterclockwise or go backwards with it about 50 thousandths. Then I'll set my pointer. Well, I'm gonna have to make a new pointer real quick. We'll be right back. Alright, so we've got our piston at 50 thousandths before top dead center, so that'll be this side of zero. And I've just set my pointer at 10 degrees. That's just a rough idea of how many degrees it is. It's usually around 10, 12, 13 degrees. 50 thousandths is on this stroke, but I just set it at 10. Then what we'll do is we'll rotate it clockwise, bring our dial indicator to 50 thousandths on the other side after top dead center. And then we'll take our measurement there, or take our reading there. We're at, let's see, 12 and a half. All right, to figure that out, you take 12.5 plus 10 equals 22 and a half. Then you divide that by 2, and it should be 11 and a quarter degrees from top dead center. Now with this degree wheel, it's going to be hard to get 11 and a half or 11 and a quarter. So we'll get it just as close as we possibly can. Alright, that's about as close as I get to 11 and a quarter. So now let's go back to 50 before. And it's just a hair over 11, or right at 11. So, and if everything's right, we should be able to move this to 0. And our dial indicator should read 0. And it did. Now I want to show you that what I was talking about the crankshaft moving a few degrees while the piston is at top dead center. So we will run this over till it hits 0. I just hit 0, and we're right around 1 degree. And then when it starts coming back, we're about a degree. So there's a couple degrees that the crankshaft is turning while it's at top dead center. So that's why you really need to do either piston stop or some way of going before and after it completely reaches top dead center to zero your degree wheel in. Alright, so now I've got my dial indicator set up on a push rod that's in a lifter. The lifters I have in there are solid lifters, that way they don't collapse any at all. There's no variance in there. So not the best setup in the world, but I've done it this way for years and it seems to come out okay. They make special indicators that go into the lifter bore, and it has its own indicator on it. Nice deals, but way out of my budget for what I do. And you could also make something else. I really want to just make a plug or something that goes into lifter bore the same diameter, and it's a little bit shorter. That way I don't have to kind of center it up. But got it all centered this way and that way and all the ways, so runs pretty true. And I've got it zeroed out. We're at top dead center. Let me move the camera back a little bit. We're at top dead center, and this will be top dead center on the firing stroke. The cam is on the base circle of the lobe, so the lifter's all the way closed, and you'll notice the timing dowel, or the timing chain dowel pin, is pointed to the left as you're looking at the front of the engine, and the dot is at the top. So this is 180 degrees from where you normally would install the camshaft with dot to dot, and this is at the point, if you were to be installing this and putting the cam in and setting your distributor and leaving it, this is where you want your timing set to be when you stab your distributor. I've made the mistake too many times in the past. I wouldn't pay attention. I'd install my cam, get everything ready to go. All this is all done, and during final assembly, I will put the timing set in and dot to dot, and I'll forget to rotate it one full revolution to get it at top dead center on the firing stroke, and I'll stab the distributor, and then voila, you're 180 degrees out because you put it in on the intake stroke. So, little tidbit there. If you've done it before, you know what I mean. It's embarrassing even if no one else is there. But all right, so we're at top dead center on the firing stroke. We're going to rotate the crankshaft, and right now I'm just looking for total lift. I'm not looking at anything else, just total lift. 1, 2, 300 thousandths. Okay, and it stopped right about there. So we're at 316. So if we do the math, we'll take 0.316 times our rocker ratio, which on this will be 1.7, equals 537. Now our cam card shows it's supposed to be 542 on the intake. All right, I'm gonna take a second to explain that. That's your theoretical lift at your valve. Your lobe lift times 1.7, or your rocker ratio. That's your theoretical valve lift. But to get your actual valve lift, you actually need to measure valve lift once you get the head on, start mocking stuff up, because it may be different than what we're getting right now, because the ratio may be off just a little bit, maybe a little bit more than 1.7, maybe a little less. It depends on what rockers you're using. So that's just your theoretical valve lift, the 537 or 542. But 316 is our actual lobe lift, and that's what I'm going to document on my paperwork. All this stuff will get documented on my paperwork too. That way I know for sure what I've got going on. Next thing we're going to do is find our intake center line. So we're real close to that right now, so let's just go ahead and do that. And basically this is the top dead center of your intake valve, but once again, just like finding top dead center of your piston, you need to go take a measurement from one side of it, of top dead center, to the other. So what we're going to do is find top dead center, which we were already on it before I started moving it. Right there. Zero out our indicator. Okay. So there is roughly top dead center. We'll go 50 thousandths. All right, so I'm gonna go counterclockwise until our dial indicator reaches 50 thousandths. Right there, and we've got 62 degrees, and now we just go back till it goes 50 thousandths on the other side. And we got 152 degrees again. And again, we just used the calculator. 62 plus 152 divided by 2 is 107. Now in order to find what your intake center line should be at 0, no advancing, no retarding, you just take your duration at 50 thousandths lift, which on this one I came up with 22 or 225, and you divide that by 2, you're averaging it, that's 112.5. That's where the true intake center line should be if it wasn't advanced any. So what did I say? It's 5 degrees advanced minus 5 equals 107.5. Now to find the duration, we'll go down to where the valve just closes. We're on the closing side right now. Alright, it's closed. Bring it around a little bit more so we know we're on the base a little bit. Again, we'll zero our indicator out. Alright, we brought it around to where the intake valve should start to open in this area. Alright, it's opening up. We're going to bring it to 50 thousandths lift. Alright, right there. So we are 5 degrees before top dead center. And that's where it opens. Then we just bring it around, and we may have to back it up. Alright, there's max lift, and it's coming back down. I've lost count on my dial, so I may have to back it up to get back to the true 50. Yeah. Alright, let's back up a little bit. Alright, bring it down. It's closing. Oh, went a little too far. Alright, there's 50. So we were at 5, and it looks like 220 and a half plus the 5, so it'll be 225 and a half. Now we've got all of our specs for this cam checked. We've got our lift, we've got our lobe center, and our duration at 50 thousandths. Now you just repeat this for the exhaust lobe, and then we can do some math to find out your lobe separation angle, which will look kind of like this. You got 113 on the exhaust center line, and plus 107 equals 220 divided by 2 is 110 degrees. Now 110 degree lobe separation angle is a pretty decent number. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff. The 339, it has 114 degree lobe separation, so that means that the tips of the lobes are further apart, so there's less overlap in between. When the exhaust is closing and the intake's open, there's less overlap there, and that's a good idea for a power adder engine, which that's what I intended for the 339. There's a lot of dyno videos out on the internet to see what does what. I'm not even going to go into that because there's a lot of variables there, but it's pretty interesting stuff. So go check that out, see how that a wider or a tighter lobe separation affects RPM and our horsepower at what RPM range. So a lot of cool stuff there. So do your research. It's, you know, a lot of good videos. So that should cover all the basics of degreeing your cam in and make sure everything's good there. The only other thing we could do is to put our head on and check our actual valve lift or lift at the valve, but my heads aren't clean yet. I need to get all that done, so we'll cover that at a later time. So if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. or hit me up on social media over on Facebook. That's the main one I'm on. All right, that's all I got for you guys this time. Until next time, you guys keep your square bodies rolling.